Travis's father, and now we are heading home. But of course, on the way home, we need to have somewhat of an adventure. So we are going to go through or by some places where there have been sightings. I got this information from the Bigfoot sighting map. I think I've got that wrong. I'll confirm that in a minute. But anyway, so I have obviously Travis and I have Sam. He's driving, and we left Caspian at home with a sitter. I know he pouted for 24 hours, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles. He can't come down here in this heat. Ugh, he'd hate it. Okay, so we will see what happens. Oh, and I'm sporting this new hat I got at a garage station, one of those travel centers. I really like it. Look at that. It's got this, and it matches my blue boots. Ooh, not that that matters, but yeah, this would be cool though. Okay, so we will see what happens. Alright, so we are heading towards Johnson City, which is in the hill country, and then we're going to go west to Fredericksburg and cut the corner, go up to a little town called La Mesa, south of Lubbock. But I was looking at the BFRO site, and I could only find one sighting that was recorded that was west of Austin, or northwest of Austin. So we're not going that route, but the Bigfoot mapping site, no, the Bigfoot Mapping Project, oh, my memory, that lists more. And so there's one that is northeast of Fredericksburg that there is a park around there in the region where it was sighted, but Texas just does not have many public lands, not like Colorado, so we won't be able to probably hike or do anything like that. But there is a state park or something that we might check out. All right, but yeah, the hill country is just my favorite part of Texas. If we lived in Texas, which we decided long ago in 1999 that we would not. We lived here for a time, I lived here for maybe a year. But anyway, we decided to move to Colorado. But yeah, and it's just beautiful with the wildflowers. Of course, we missed the blue bonnets. Point my camera down so you can see. But yeah, and who knows what kind of thunderstorms we're going to run in today. That could be a possibility also. All right, so we will see what happens. So we are in the Lyndon B Historical Park, and that way is north, and up that way some miles is where a sighting took place in 1979. Someone saw a 5.6, I can't remember, 5.5. I gotta look at the site again. I'll confirm that in a moment. But anyway, it was a young Bigfoot. And so it was some miles that way. Oh, that's all farm and ranch land, so there's no point in us going up. But we are enjoying this beautiful park, stretching our legs, and we are going to go to see these cabins up ahead. But here is a little information about it. The Downs family bought this land in 1860. They built the cabin you can see ahead of you. 2-room dog trot home. That was definitely a common way of building around here. Hundreds of hopeful immigrants came to the hill country from Germany in 1845. Casper and Elizabeth Dawes was among them. Oh, and that was the hazards of those times. Elizabeth and their son died during a cholera epidemic. Ooh, tragic times, but interesting. So we are going to go this way for a little walk. It's really nice to stretch our legs. Beautiful wildflowers. I really don't know what those are, Sam. No. Some kind of daisy? I don't know. I'm not very good with flowers. Don't know types. But, oh, the fields. Oh, and I saw some deer, or maybe they were pronghorn, I'm not sure. But I know that there are plenty of deer around here because Travis's family used to have a ranch by Fredericksburg, and we would go stay there. And it was just swarming with deer. In fact, one time a deer hit us, and it just went on like nothing happened. Remember when the deer hit us?
Oh, yeah.
Hit your truck? Yeah. And it just went on, didn't phase it. Oh, look at these pretty ones. So we may not see any Bigfoot around here, but we certainly do see a lot of pretty flowers. And butterflies, lots and lots of butterflies. And if you all have watched my videos long enough, you know that I'm more scared of bees and wasps than I am of the idea of a Bigfoot. But so far, I don't see any of my enemies around here. This is really nice. Lots of grasshoppers. And it's not too hot. It's 76 or so.
Feels better.
Yeah, it feels better here, not as humid as it was in Austin. This is nice though. I haven't done any exercise since we've been here, and we've been here. We started traveling on Monday, and it's a long trip from Colorado. It took us 2 very long days, so it will take us 2 long days to get back. But we wanted to do something fun, because sometimes visiting elderly family members isn't exactly a fun thing to do. It's important, but it's not terribly fun, and we don't like playing tourists in a big city, especially with the way the world is right now. We'd rather come out to the country. Oh, pretty.
Here it feels a lot better.
Yeah. And here are the dog trot. Yep, that's a very common way to build a cabin. It would, what would it do, Travis? It would somehow provide some cooling.
Yeah, the cooling and the breeze would go through there.
Mm-hmm. And there's a cellar.
Yeah.
Huh. There's short doors.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know. Was that meant to be a dwelling? Anyway, here's a larger one. Oh, the breeze feels really good. We missed the bluebonnets, of course, because this is May and the bluebonnets happen in March. Oh. Now this looks definitely more like a dwelling.
Yeah.
Funny, there's a door way up there. But notice how short the doors are. Yeah, it's locked. But people were a lot shorter back then. There's another door up that way. Oh, and limestone. Limestone is very common around here. Huh. Let's see. Yeah, it's about to fall off. Yeah, they're all boarded up. The windows are boarded up, so And across that field,
This
I
is
don't.
the breezeway.
Oh yes, that's the breezeway.
The breezeway.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they didn't have air conditioning. But across that way are some Texas longhorns. I noticed. I don't know that you could see from here. That is definitely a popular breed of cattle here. So, yeah, it's just really, really pretty. A little nice little stop along the way. Oh, and there's a bench. Okay, so very, very pretty. Bench thing over where?
Fence.
Oh, fence. Oh, right, I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I can see. You stand here. What happens?
What happens?
You feel the breeze more.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, it's so peaceful. All right, well, I for one think I might want a snack and then drive a little more around here and go on our way to Fredericksburg. Now here is an encounter with some wildlife. Look at that fuzzy caterpillar.
Caterpillars.
A caterpillar. Oh, he's cute, but I wouldn't want to get near him. Cute, 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 cute. And we have had a creature encounter. Here comes Sam. He has to see it too. I know he likes fuzzy caterpillars.
Fuzzy caterpillars?
Fuzzy caterpillar. Oh, darling. You're so funny. Whoops. It's falling down. It's like, I've got an audience. I find that so adorable, but I wouldn't touch it. Where'd I, oh, there he goes. Oh, there he goes. And he has disappeared, almost. Going up the steps. Sam found another caterpillar and we've decided to call him Speedy Gonzalez. He is just ripping. Whoa. He probably feels like he's too out in the open. There he goes. Run, run, run. All those legs. Come on, run, run, run. Lost him. There he is. Shh. Go over the leaf. Wow, that's a fast caterpillar. Goodness. There it goes. We just had a really nice picnic lunch and we found that traveling, we would rather have lunches out and snacks out, so we are equipped, and this is such a sweet little spot. Pedernales River is over that way. So, very nice. We're gonna go on toward Fredericksburg and maybe stop by the old ranch that Travis and his family used to have. Sam is gonna walk down there by the river, and they have these markers here which says over 27 feet. I'm guessing that they've had the river come up this far. So, oh, it's just so pleasant. I don't think any of us really wants to leave, but we have to go home and deal with all the monsters that are the monsters of circumstances that are piling up, the clients that are saying we did things wrong, and let's see what else. Just too many to count. We really needed this break. And it just comes home to me that the monster of our circumstances and the monster within us, the feelings of inadequacy and things like that, they are far more scarier than any monster lurking in the woods. In fact, I was watching Monster Quest last night, and they were doing a segment on chupacabra, which is something that is seen frequently around Texas. And they don't know if this is what they found. They've been killed. It may be a hybrid between coyote and wolves or something, but some people think they're chupacabras. But, you know, those might be scary, and as Sam says, Texas is full of a lot of creepy cryptids like that. But your own life sometimes can be a lot more scarier in the challenges that you face. All right, so we are gonna go on and explore the rest of this park and go to Fredericksburg. Here are the longhorns. Aren't they cool looking? Oh my goodness, I think they're so awesome. When I was a little girl, I loved cattle. And we would go traveling, and my parents would have to stop because I wanted to see the cattle. But what was funny is after a year of that or something, I got tired of it, but I didn't want to tell them because it might hurt their feelings. But oh, those are pretty cool. Now, that is something I must say I am afraid of, is a bull. Bulls, I am not fond of being around them. But I don't know if that might be a cow. I don't know.
They all have horns.
Huh?
They all have horns.
Well, that might not mean anything.
Yeah, you gotta look at them.
Right.
I'm saying they all have horns.
But that doesn't mean that they're all male.
I know.
They're pretty cool. Oh. Awesome. All right. Bye, guys. Now we're at the visitor center, and we had a pit stop, so I think that Sam's in there, and I'm going to go in too, and I don't like being an obnoxious YouTuber, so I will let you know what I find. So Sam, the little brat here, found a bumblebee stuffed animal with a crown. I guess it's supposed to be a queen. And he's teasing me about buying it for Mother's Day. I'm like, no, I'm going to kick you out if you do something like that. He wouldn't. It was funny. All right, so here we are in the little exhibit area behind the visitor center. And Sam is in there buying me a Mother's Day gift, and I found my mother a cute little hummingbird. Anyway, ooh, loud birds. So that is what we're looking at. So here we have more exhibits. I'm not going to go into everything because we got to go, but you can see little cabin exhibit. All right, so there's Sam with my gift, and we're gonna go. Okay, so we are heading west to Fredericksburg. That was so great. Really liked that place. Wish we could have walked around the living history farm, but we got to go on. We're gonna probably run into bad weather, but at the gift shop, look what I found: a hummingbird for my mother for Mother's Day. And see if I can do this. Actually, Sam found it. Hold on, let me see. She's gonna love that, along with the llama I got her from Estes Park when we went. Yeah, so that's going to be a fun Mother's Day gift. Sam got me something too, and it's practical, he says, but I told him to wait until Mother's Day. Okay, so we will see what happens. Bye-bye, birdie.
Bye-bye, birdie.
in Fredericksburg, and Sam was telling me about some of the German history, and they even have their own, German Texas dialect, and it was even written on the plaque we were looking at, but I had no idea. I don't read German, so I didn't know. But anyway, that's fascinating. And he said that there are even Ukrainian and Russian immigrants, and that's why Odessa, Texas is named after Odessa, Ukraine. All the things I learned from my son. So, yeah, Fredericksburg, we have a history here. When Travis and I first started dating in 95, we came here, stayed out at the ranch, and just really good memories out here. And so we're having such a good time. So I think that we're going to go out to the ranch and maybe just look around the town for a few minutes. But we got to get on north, where it's 30 degrees cooler today than it is here. Oh joy. Alright, we will see what we... Alright, here we are in the main area of Fredericksburg. We have so many good memories of being here. And of course, Admiral Nimitz Gallery is here. Pacific War Museum. Just so much fun stuff around here. Lovely memories. And lots of people, of course. Alright, so we will see what happens. Alright, so now we're going out to where the ranch is. Of course, Travis's family doesn't own it anymore, but it's just lots of good memories there. We just love the contrast here at Fredericksburg. Much simpler lifestyle, not as go, go, go. So we're having a great time, and we will see what happens. Such a beautiful area. Travis and I have hiked it several times, and there's quite a history of Enchanted Rock as far as interesting things. I think that there's some Native American tales about it, maybe more on the line of paranormal, but I'm gonna go over here. So wait, stop. Look at that. Wow, it is so neat up there, but there's some kind of strange sound up there that you can hear. And Native Americans say it's, I don't know, some kind of spirit or something like that. But, you know, pioneers, they did run into what they call wild men, and I'm sure there were some sightings around here. I'd have to actually do some research, but yeah, that is Enchanted Rock. You now have to get reservations to climb up that. And of course, we've got to get to La Mesa today, so we don't have time to do it anyway. All right, go on, Sam. So we are almost to the ranch. This way, just, oh man, this place fills me with so many good memories of when we were dating and after we were married. And of course, Travis spent a lot of time working on his old house, doing the electricity for it. He spent years doing that. It's one of his favorite things to do. Alright, so we will see what we see. And here it is again from this side. Isn't that just so beautiful? There's another really interesting rock formation clear over there too. I don't know what that is, but yeah, that is Enchanted Rock. In fact, my mother painted a picture from there, and I have a poem. Maybe I'll actually dig that poem out in the picture and read it later, of course, when we get home. So, all right, well, we will see what happens. right, we are nearing this ranch.
It's fenced it all off now.
Oh yeah, it didn't used to be fenced off.
No.
And that is the hill. They used to own it. I was thinking, wow, that'd be nice to build a house on.
Back by this big fence, so you might want to.
Oh.
It's there, but it's okay. It's there. You can.
Oh, I see it
go
through
to
the
other
fence
side of the
post.
fence. It's there. There it is.
Oh wow, stop.
Mhm.
All right, so there is the house. Wow.
They all remodeled.
It's really nice. Yeah, it did not look anywhere near like that. And it's got the limestone front. Obviously, they had to have kept that. Very nice. Looks like they're still working on things. Beautiful. We would call it old house camping when we would go to stay there. Because it was very Spartan, shall we say. It had electricity and running water, but not much else. And it's on the historical registry, too. Yeah, that's really cool. All right. Well, we better not linger. I don't want to feel weird now. So we played Chinese checkers and we switched seats. Now I'm in the back. And I was looking at the Bigfoot Mapping Project, and out there, I believe that's west, not quite sure, but between Menard and Junction was a sighting January 1st, 2001. There is no more information about it. But somewhere to the west, there was a sighting. So we are on our way to San Angelo. We really need to make some time now because we have to go all the way to the little town of La Mesa, which is probably 4 hours away. All right, so that is a sighting that I know about, somewhere between Menard and Junction, January 1st, 2001. All right, so we just left Mason, and up north that way is a town called Brady. And there was a sighting there September 19th, 2019. So fairly recently. It was at 1:30 a.m. in the morning, and the Bigfoot was 7 foot tall around that, and there was a vocalization. So that again is what I saw on the Bigfoot Mapping Project, and it's up in a town called Brady. So it was longer to go through Brady, so we're going a different route. So we are on our way to San Angelo. All right, so we're almost to Menard, and I told you that one of the sightings was this between Menard and Junction, so it's that way somewhere, like I said, January 1st. I think it was 2001. So, and look at that, there is a blind, and I was teasing Sam that we should get a blind and bring it back to Colorado, because I've heard a lot of stories where hunters are in blinds and they encounter a Bigfoot. It would be pretty scary. Alright, so we are going. Okay, so we are almost to San Angelo. And as you can see, we're in flat farmland now, but you can see those hills over there. And down, let's see, that would be southwest. There is a town called El Dorado, I believe, and there was a sighting I-10, and there's a town called Sonora, and there was a man who was driving to San Antonio from California, and I'll put the date and all of that information in the frame because I already forgot. But anyway, he saw something. He was in the left lane and he saw something cross the highway, and it appeared to be a Bigfoot, like 7 feet tall, and had 3-inch hair and had long arms, and it went across and then went across the highway or something, and then he circled back around and couldn't find anything. He was looking to see if if there was an explanation, like did he see a bush, that kind of thing, but he couldn't find anything. So anyway, that was the sighting near Sonora off of I-10. So just a little more info about that Sonora sighting. It was July 19th, 2006, and he thought he saw a bush at first, but it obviously moved, and he was really conscious about running into deer because there were a ton of deer, but he said he saw this bush and it moved across the highway. He saw it in the median. That's where he saw it. Alright, so very interesting sighting. So we made it to San Angelo, and I'm using Travis's phone to look up the BFRO report, and it's number 7836. This sighting was submitted, hold on, I just lost the page, January 22nd, 2004. It was a horseback rider daytime encounter near San Angelo, which is where we are now. It was in 1986 in October, and the location, he says, or she says, is not accessible anymore, or at least I don't think it is. The location, and I'm reading from the BFRO site, the location and the surrounding area is now a state park. I remember it was close to a spillway, an area known as Red Arroyo. The exact location is about 100 yards northwest of the spillway on a ridge. The road that led to the location has been dug up, and vegetation has covered what was once a paved road. I do not live in San Angelo anymore and haven't for years, so I do not remember the actual road name that was once there, but it intersected with Mercedes Street. So, and it was near Arden Road, and this is what this person observed. It has been a very long time, but I just can't seem to forget that day. Let me start by saying that I knew the area fairly well. I used the riding trails as relaxation for my horse. I would ride in the area at least once a week for a couple of years. I knew the different trails and the animals and birds that usually occupied the area. I had been riding for approximately 30 minutes when we came upon a ridge. My horse began to walk very cautiously, almost as if he was getting nervous. He didn't make a sound, but you could tell he felt uncomfortable. His ears were pointing towards the front, and he was watching the ridge very closely. I noticed that it was completely silent, which was strange for the area. Usually the mockingbirds and scissortails would follow you up from tree to tree, but not this day in this area. We came up to the top of the ridge and began walking down a narrow trail when my horse began to shake. I remember like it was yesterday, but I began to feel like I was being watched and became a little scared myself. Let's see. Then my horse jumped to the right. I looked over to the left, expecting to see a rattlesnake. And squatting in a large bush, a bush is not just one bush, was something large. It was very dark and scared me. Hold on, I lost my place. It was very dark and scared me to death. My horse took off running. Ooh, that's not fun. I couldn't hold him back at all. He was scared, very scared. I remember looking back and seeing something come out of the brush, but I never could tell height or weight because of the winding trail. You could definitely make out that it was covered with hair. I say that because I didn't see any clothing and it was covered. No skin was showing. We came upon an area with a small clearing, and I forced my horse to stop. I looked back to see if anything was following us, and I saw nothing. Regardless, my horse wanted out of there and began pawing at the ground. He wanted out of the area. We made it back to the horse trailer in just a minute or two. My parents were there and saw the fear in my face and how scared my horse was. I told them what happened, and they never questioned me. I was pale, white, and the horse was ready to leave. He never acted like that. I think they thought it was a person hiding out and didn't ask anything else. I would never go back to ride in the area again. I don't know if it was a transient or what, but I can't imagine someone just hanging out there, especially in the brush. I'm not sure what kind of brush it was, but it was the kind that would cut you to pieces. The area was mainly motorcycle horse trails, but very few people used them. The area was not far from the lake, and there was ranch land to the north. The day was hot with a gusty breeze. I remember that because I was wearing a t-shirt and shorts. Who would wear shorts riding horseback? Sorry. I used to own a horse, so I find that baffling. But hey, this is Texas. I know it was fall because I was back in school. I know the ecology doesn't seem to fit the habitat of a Bigfoot, but I just can't figure out what it was. It wasn't a black bear or big cat because it was coming out of the brush in an upright position, not on all fours. You could tell it was going to stand up. Thankfully, my horse was scared enough. I never had to see the actual height. There were some berries in the area, plenty of rodents, so that might be able to sustain a large animal for a short time. Perhaps he was just moving through the area. The area is now a state park, and the particular place I had the encounter is no longer accessible, and even if it was, I would not go back to even try to find the spot. It is not a remote location anymore due to urban sprawl. At the time, there were very few homes in the area to the north. It was primarily cattle and sheep ranches. Also noticed, I don't remember hearing anything, but I do remember feeling uneasy that afternoon. My horse was definitely not acting usual. He was very timid immediately before the sighting, which was totally out of character for him. And the person who reported this was the only witness, and it was in the afternoon. The day was sunny with a breeze. The area was rocky, mesquite trees, juniper trees, what Texans call cedar, cactus, bushes, shrubs, some pecan and live oak trees. The area is once a reservoir of some sort, and the sighting took place near an old spillway. So that is the sighting near San Angelo, 1986. All right, so that direction is the lake and the state park that was talked about in the last sighting report I read. Now, all right, so I think this other sighting, or not sighting, it was a vocalization that happened north of San Angelo, and just lost it on my husband's phone, but I'm going to read to you the sighting report on BFRO. It's number 16499, and I discovered that if you search in a browser for BFRO sighting number, you'll find it. All right, so this was submitted by a witness on Friday, November 3rd, 2006. Possible stalking on the Concho River outside San Angelo. Summer of 2006 in August, and this is what was observed. My two sons and I decided to go fishing. We went down to the Concho River to a sort of remote area. We were trying some new bait we bought. It was getting dark, but the fish were biting good. So we sat there a little longer catching fish. I didn't have a flashlight, so I told my boys we needed to get going, but we stayed until we could only see shadows of our poles. We heard a noise off to our left, like something was walking toward us through some really heavy woods and brush. As I looked over, you could hear and see the birds flying out of the trees like they had been scared. It looked like one of those horror movies, the way they were acting. The footsteps getting closer. I could tell it was no small animal. My youngest boy started to cry. We jumped up as the footsteps got closer. I yelled to scare off whatever it was, but it didn't stop moving forward toward us. My older boy, 15, started saying, "Dad, what do we do?" I told them to reel in their poles fast. The trail down to the river was about 10 feet to our left beside a 6-foot tall fence. On the other side of that was the trees and brush where the noise was coming from. So the only way out was to walk toward the fence, then up the trail through some trees. The footsteps got right up to the fence line, so I ran toward the fence, waving my arms and yelling at the top of my lungs to try to scare it off. It didn't move. The brush and trees are so thick at the fence you couldn't see anything but shadows. I told my boys to stay on my right side and get up to the truck. As we made it up the trail, I put my boys inside the truck. My boy dropped his fishing pole down on the trail, so I went back down to get it. As I went back down, I was cursing at whatever it was to come out, that I would beat it to death. Still no movement. I leaned down to pick up the pole. I looked through the fence to see what it was. I stand 6 feet 1 inch tall. All I could see was a shadow of something that made me look small. I grabbed the pole and backed up the trail to the truck. As I got to the truck, it started running up through the trees toward us. We jumped in the truck and started it. I spun the truck around to shine my light in the trees. It took off running back the way it came from. We got the heck out of there. I'm not much of a person to get scared, but this thing made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I have never been that scared in my life. Even talking about it makes my hair stand up. I have tried to think that this thing was a bum or someone trying to scare us on purpose. But the way I tried to scare it off, you would think that it would have made some sort of noise when it stopped at the fence line. I went back the next day. Hold on, I gotta change my hand. Ooh, that hurts. Anyway, find my place again. I went back the next day, crossed the fence to see what, if any, evidence I could find. The trees and brush are so thick I couldn't see anything. I know I'll never go back to that spot at night again. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot or not, and I'm not saying it was. All I know is it was the biggest thing I've ever seen. And like I said, it scared me and my boys worse than I've ever been scared. So the other witnesses were the 15-year-old son and the 3-year-old son. It was evening, the sun was going down, clear skies, lighting was low, only could see shadows, and the environment was thick brush and trees and Contra River. Follow-up investigation says the BFRO, I like to say BFRO investigator, wrote, I called and spoke on the phone with a witness and his 15-year-old son for 30 to 60 minutes. They reported fishing for 1 to 2 hours. There was no one else there when they were fishing. They were on public property next to the fence line that borders private land. We thought there were utilities or a water treatment facility on the other side of the fence. They had fished there before. Sorry, my hand was in the way. It was beneath a high embankment, 15 to 30 feet. They used a trail the witness believed to be 30 feet long that leads to a clearing by the river. They caught several fish and had 5 on a stringer, but hadn't done any cleaning of the fish while at the river. The witness and the son described birds being disturbed by something moving through the woods and hearing heavy steps coming toward them. He could hear branches breaking when the animal came running toward them as he reached his truck. So that is the not a sighting, but more, I guess, what you call a Class B sighting. But I find it interesting that, most sightings are done when you're doing something else. They don't happen when you're actually going to look for a Bigfoot. That's why Sam wants to do some fishing. It's probably a good idea, even though fishing bores me to tears, but that's okay. I can handle that. I can read or something. That's cool. But the other thing I was thinking about when reading this last report is it can be really traumatic. We know somebody who had a sighting on Pikes Peak, and she hadn't hardly told anybody, and she told us, and it was really traumatic for her, and it was like she was there. So it can be extremely scary. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking of as I read these BFRO reports, and we are going to go to La Mesa, where we're going to settle down for the night and go home tomorrow. Hello, it is Saturday and we have left our hotel in La Mesa and we're heading north in the Panhandle. See? Look, flat. And we are going to Muleshoe Reserve Park. I can't remember the exact name, but hopefully we'll hang out there a little bit and have a picnic. Depending on the weather, it's not great as you see. Gotta watch that, but we'll be home by 10 o'clock tonight. We're gonna head into New Mexico, go through Clovis, up to Springer, and then north on I-25 till we get home. But along the way, there were a few sightings that have been reported at the Bigfoot Mapping Project. So I'm going to go through those. So you will find out more in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the first sighting for today, and it happened west of Lubbock in the fall of 2010, specifically in October, and a woman living alone in rural Texas had an unusual visitor. It was a Class A sighting. So, she writes, there was a dry lake bed to the west of a tree line before a dirt road. A couple of coyotes lived there. I had all kinds of animals, including stray cows, in my yard at different times. There are hog and deer in the area, as this is close to Yellow House Draw, where it begins the Brazos River. Yellow House Ranch is close by. The Indians used to call the caves in the cliff area yellow houses because the color of the land is a yellow hue. The house is close to Silver Lake, and Muleshoe Wildlife Refuge is about 20 miles northwest, and that is where we're heading, which is why I'm pointing my camera that way. That's the direction of where we're talking about. So the nearest town is called Pep, and it was near Farm Road 597. This is what she observed. My encounters with the Bigfoot creature began in October 2010. One Saturday evening around 4 in late afternoon, I was wiping windows in the den and saw this big black hairy head peeking around a storage shed in the back of the house. This house was in the country and had farm crops all around it. There were a line of evergreen-type trees planted on the east, west, and north sides of the home. The window I was cleaning faced north, and the animal was past the tree barrier to the north inside the backyard. I could not estimate any size, as the head was towards the middle of the building, about 5 feet from the ground in estimate. When I stopped to stare, the head went back behind the shed. I waited, nothing happened, so I moved to another window to the left side and began wiping there. This time, the same head peeked around the corner in the same way, except I saw black fingers, long, holding onto the corner of the building just lower than the head. Feeling spooked and quite alone, I thought maybe vacuuming would scare it away. I did not always get good phone reception in the house. After vacuuming, I looked and saw nothing, but still feeling uneasy, went ahead and called a friend to come over. I never told my friend what I saw. I had doubts and I wanted to be sure. The next time I saw this animal was through my bedroom window at night on the south side of the house. I had lace curtains on windows and it was peering at me through the glass. Hand was cupped around eyes trying to peer in. It looked as though it was squatting a bit and shoulders were hunched over. The part of the body that I saw was taking up one half of the wide window. I could only see a silhouette. The window sill is about 6 feet up, and I would estimate that the creature was taller than the window because it was scrunching down to look into the window toward me. Feeling alarmed, I felt it better to act like I did not see it and turned over so I could face the closet in my bedroom and not look at it while trying to go to sleep. The next morning I called the same friend and told him about what had happened. We looked around the window but saw nothing. There were several nights like this, and I finally purchased some blinds to go between the lace curtains and window. The creature continued to try to spy on me while sleeping through cracks and sides of blinds at night. Wow. One morning I felt alarmed because I heard the neighbor's dogs barking hysterically during the night after the creature left my window. I discovered a huge handprint on the hood of my car with fingers closed with 4 and a thumb that was sticking out. The hand pointed towards the window. I had a security device that had a light on inside the car under driver's side. The fingers were facing toward the driver's side of the vehicle. There was also this cream-colored waxy spot in the middle of the hood, and it was not grackle poop. I was alarmed and looked around some more. I saw a huge footprint at back corner of driver's side vehicle, and then when I went in the direction of that print, found another print for other foot across the road, which is wide enough to park 2 cars side by side. This is where the tree line begins for the east side of the house. Those evergreen bushes are huge and dark. I'd always stayed away from those bushes because any number of animals could hide there. I called my friend and he had a look at the evidence. I am not very technically inclined and did not know how to use the camera on my phone, so all I have is that witness. He did not know what would make prints so big in these parts. He's a tall man with big feet, and these prints were wider and a good half a foot longer than his. I think he wears a size 13 or 14 shoe. Okay, so we had to make a pit stop, and we're back. So, here is the rest of the story. I finally saw the creature in January of 2011. One evening I was trying to get to church, and I cannot remember what clued me in to his presence. It was around 5 p.m. It was a cold, windy day, and I was running late as usual. When I realized that I was going to have to go out of my house with that creature there and be late for church, I got mad. I knew I would have to lock my door, go through... Sorry, it's hard to read because shakiness of the car. Anyway, when I realized that I was going to have to go out of my house with that creature there and be late for church, I got mad. I knew I would have to lock my door, go through the fenced side yard, go through the gate, and unlock my car without that creature making contact with me. I just started screaming with frustration. I made a beeline for the exit exit. Also, the words are really tiny. I'm even wearing glasses and I'm having a hard time. Okay, exit. Quickly locked the door, ran over to the gate, unlocked the car, and got into my car. I locked my doors, started the car, and backed out of the driveway. As I was going beside the side yard, I looked in between the garage and house where I could see to the tree line the west side of the house. The creature was there, standing as tall as the eaves of the one-story house. It was black all over, and hair was whipping around his body by the wind. The hair was long, about 12 inches in some parts of the body. The creature froze in a stiff soldier-type stance with arms and hands to sides. Fingertips were easily past his knees. Yellow, piercing eyes were staring at me, and it looked like it was trying to be invisible or blend in with the scenery, which it could not. The body mass was thick but could not make out any muscle tone, although would say that it looked physically fit. Could not see any breasts or male genitalia because it was covering in the male area with one hand. Its mouth was O-shaped. It was facing me and looked like it had been running to see me, probably see how I started the car. Anyway, I could only look briefly because I had to get to church. I had a friend follow me home that night. I did not know what it would do. I do not recall any incident after that one. I did, however, feel that some nights it was in the tree line of the home watching the house. Okay, so she also noticed. I did hear the wind on that one evening, and there was a damp, wet dog smell in the air as I went to the car. Other witnesses, just my friend who was gracious enough to not laugh at me when I finally got the nerve to tell what I was experiencing, and who saw the car slime. I have no idea what that could have been. Handprint and footprints. Other stories. No, it was too unnerving to begin to tell someone else about it. I think most people would question my judgment if they knew. I have since asked the warden at the MWLR if he had heard or seen anything like Bigfoot mentioned in the area. He said his reports came mostly from East Texas and people called it a grassman. He said he believed me though and would like to see a picture if I could ever get one. I'm assuming that the MWLR is this Muleshoe place. There is a big floodlight that is a height of a street lamp in the city that gave most of the yard and buildings light at night. sighted in Dry Lake to the west before a dirt road going north and south. And then the follow-up investigation report was by BFRO investigator Gary Christensen. He says he spoke with the witness by phone. She frequently put leftover food outside for the animals and found it missing the next day. Interesting. Maybe that's why it started coming around. She described the creature looking in her bedroom window as a large silhouette of an upper torso with lots of hair. Even after she installed blinds in her bedroom window, she could tell when the creature was trying to look in, because the light from the yard lamp would be blocked and the room would grow noticeably darker. Even though the bedroom window faced the paved road in the front of the house, a large evergreen tree was there for cover if traffic passed by. When she saw the creature between the garage and the house, it was cold, windy, and cloudy. Still a full daylight. She said the creature did not move when she spotted it, but she could see its long hair blow in the wind. The expression on its face was one of surprise. She drove away, leaving it standing motionless. She moved out of this house the next month. Yeah, I don't blame her. And then he says, I found the witness to be forthright and consistent in relating the details of her encounter. So, wow, that is a fascinating encounter just south of Muleshoe Park, where we're heading to now in the rain, as you can see. So I don't know what we're going to get to do. Our idea of a picnic lunch outside is kind of questionable. But yeah, I mean, you hear that Bigfoots like females because they're non-threatening, and also leaving food outside. You know, you might not want to do that for many, many reasons. One time, a long time ago, I left some dog food outside, and along came at 3 in the morning. Well, my dog started barking at 3 in the morning like crazy. Let him out, and he caught a skunk right there in the hallway and killed it. And boy, did it ever smell! But I discovered that it had come up on the porch because I had left dog food out. So yeah, just for that reason alone, trust me, you don't want to leave food out for critters. Not a good idea. So that's a very interesting story, and I don't blame her a bit for moving out a month after all that happened. That is a wild, wild story. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I will be telling another story in the next video. So we are at the Muleshoe Preserve, and from what I've read online, this is pretty much what the landscape would have been like before all the development. So it's cold, but hey, it's a good chance to stretch our legs. So we are going to head down to that lake, and I've heard there's a bunch of sand cranes around, but I don't know if anything's here right now. All right, so as I always say, we'll see you. Lake, and I know there's been sand cranes around here, but not today. Pretty windy, you can smell there's rain in the air, pretty cold, but this is what the preserve looks like. Very different from what we're normally used to. So like I said, that way 20 miles south is where that lady had experiences with a Bigfoot, and I couldn't read any more yet because we got into this place where there was no internet whatsoever, so I'll have to resume when we have internet and start back with my stories. But this is the Muleshoe Preserve. I don't know how far we're going to walk. Sam here, show the telescope. We got this telescope that we found at the thrift store, so Sam's using that. So anyway, we will see see what happens, but I mean, it has its own beauty for sure. Not what we're used to, like I said, so we're used to pine forests and mountains and such, but it's definitely good to get out of the car and stretch your legs for a little bit. Alright, so we went for a walk around the lake, or not around it, but by it, and Sam, his feet just hurt too much to walk very much, and in fact, we've got to do something about that when we return. He can't walk very fast. He's got plantar fasciitis or something going on, so we're going to get that attended to, because there is no way he could hike the 30 miles needed at the Colorado Trail like we want to do. So I told him we're going to solve that problem, and I'm losing weight and trying to be diligent about that, so we're going to do that. Anyway, now we're driving around the preserve, and as usual, we will see what we will see. Okay, so now we have passed the town of Muleshoe and we're heading to Clovis. And I was looking at my Bigfoot Mapping Project now that I have accessibility to some type of cellular service. And I noticed that there was a sighting November 23rd, 2001. And that was a little northeast of the Muleshoe Nature Preserve and east of Needlemore. And that's all there is it is not on the BFRO site. It's on the Bigfoot Mapping Project. It's a really handy app to have, so go check that out. Okay, so I have one more Bigfoot sighting for you in this area, and that is actually behind us because I just got my cellular service back. So anyway, this happened in the year 2013 in July 7th to be exact. A woman observed an unusual tumbleweed structure with an occupant in far west Texas near Sudan, which is, like I said, behind muddy tan color, like they had dried mud on them. I saw that they were that way because there was something dark sitting there, facing towards the draw away from the road. Once looking through binoculars and going back and forth in the vehicle to observe, I noticed that the dark, hairy creature kept moving around the tree to make it look like there was nothing there. Got a little further south of the tree, and looking back through binoculars, I saw a hairy head with matted fur bobbing up with eyes peering over a branch and then moving its head down or to the side so it was unseen. This was in the morning around 10 a.m. It was a beautiful day and not too hot. The area is marshy with water, reeds growing, and when we backed the vehicle north and looked, I saw the creature had moved to another tree behind the marsh reeds, staring toward the vehicle, but still secluded for the most part by the reeds and underbrush and the tree. I saw a deer walk through the side of this area and a wild hog. I never felt alarmed, but would not let my husband go and look further because this is a rural area and phones do not always work, and not sure what I would do if anything happened to him. My husband does not think I saw anything, but he could not see what I saw through the binoculars. He saw a bluebird that morning, which I did not see, even though I looked, so we both had different vantage points from where we were sitting in the car. I would really like to share all of the incidents that happened to me with the creature in 2010, but we'll need to do that at another writing when I have time. Also noticed deer going through area as well as a wild hog, which are not as many in numbers as a year or two ago. Also saw 2 large deer up the road standing on a tree beside a fence a good block away. When they realized they were being observed, they sat down in tall grass and looked directly our way. Then would stand up when we left, but sit down when we backed up. Other witnesses. 2. We were looking at fencing and trying to see if any cattle were outside the fenced area they belonged to. Other stories. I know the rangers past and present to the wildlife refuge nearby, talking about the Muleshoe one, but have not gotten up enough courage to ask them. I really need to remain credible in these parts, and word travels quicker than electric current around here. Well, she should have gotten together with that other gal. She would have found out that they do know about it. Alright, time and conditions. 10 a.m. morning, beautiful sunny day with a few clouds in sky, not too hot. Environment. It was at a natural spring area of a draw that had tall reeds where the water was. There is deer in this wooded area, and farmer who owns land south of property has deer stand. Farmer who owns land will not allow hunting on property. Follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Gary Christensen, the same guy as the other one. I spoke with a witness by phone on 2 occasions. She provided these additional details. The property is remote and hunting is not allowed. The roads are rarely traveled by anyone. She and her husband visited the property on 3 consecutive Sundays beginning on July 7th. All activity was between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. and the observations were made with the help of binoculars. On the first trip, the tumbleweeds appeared to be deliberately placed so as to provide the occupant with concealment while it observed its surroundings. Although the witness did not see the whole animal, she described the head as being rounded, the color a dark brown with a reddish tint, the hair matted somewhat like dreadlocks, and the shape, color, and size of the figure inconsistent with deer, with hogs, or domesticated animals. She also mentioned seeing an arm with elbow. On the second visit, she again saw the creature, this time its face, which looked like an orangutan with white hair surrounding the face. It was under a different tree shelter with downward arched, twisted branches. They also found a large, freshly broken branch of a tree on the road that had not been there the day before. There were no trees close by that were missing that branch, so they concluded that it must have been put there by someone or something. After she spoke with me the first time, she and her husband returned to the site a third time and found that the tumbleweeds were gone. She could not account for any natural phenomena that could explain their disappearance. She said that it appeared to her that the nest was disassembled. I found the witness to be candid and consistent in relating her experience. So that is that Bigfoot site. I wish he had done more because we are heading to Clovis and we'll be there soon. So apparently there is interesting activity around Clovis in between there and Muleshoe and Sedan which is weird because, I mean, you can tell this area is pretty barren. All right, so those are my reports so far, and once we head into New Mexico, I will have more in that region. So, bye for now. All right, we are now in New Mexico, and what's interesting in this little town of Texaco, I didn't realize this was in New Mexico. Texaco, New Mexico. Anyway, the sign said, "Welcome to Wolverines." Gee, that makes me wonder if they have Wolverines here. Interesting. So I am going to talk about the next sighting, and it happened, let's see, it was a motorist having a nighttime sighting below Raton Pass, which I drove over before we had dinner. It was in 2005, in the winter, January, specifically January 23rd, 2005, and our family and I, we go down Raton, up and down Raton Pass all the time. And I used to live in Albuquerque in the 70s, so I can't even count how many times I've been up that pass and down that pass. So it was approximately 1 mile from the top of Raton Pass going south on I-25, going towards Albuquerque. And of course the nearest town is Raton, and the highway is I-25. I was driving at night, this is what the witness says, I was driving at night on I-25 on Raton Pass. This happened last night. It was late, and then I noticed something on the side of the road. I thought it was a bear or something. Then it took off and ran across the road behind my car. I was so surprised and shocked I did not stop. It was about 6 foot plus and across the road in 3 steps or so. And that's pretty amazing. Okay, also notice, it happened so fast I cannot think of anything else. Other witnesses, just me. Other stories, no. Time and conditions, night about 9 p.m., clear and cold, snow in patches. Yeah, this was in January. Environment, oak, brush, forest, and pine trees. Then, the BFRO investigator is Tony Gerard. I spoke with a witness by phone. The witness first saw what he took to be the rear of a bear or elk on the side of the road and turned his lights to bright. It seemed like it must have been bent over or something, but then it went upright and across the road. It crossed a 2-lane road on 2 legs and did so in 2 or 3 steps. The witness stressed the length of the strides. It crossed immediately after his car passed. His view at this time was in the rear view mirror. He most clearly could see it from the lower torso down, but he did not get a good look at the upper torso or head. The gait was described as just like a person doing a quick stride, a fast walk, not an actual run. He described the hair color as dark brown and comparable to an Irish setter in length. He saw a definite outline of hair moving, like a woman's hair would flow when they moved quickly. He estimated the height to be between 6 1/2 to 7 feet. He described the body build as very stocky. At no time did he see any eye shine from the creature. Alright, so that is the report, and of course, we are now going in the opposite direction of where it happened. But, you know, things happen on I-25, and I'm probably going to read you something else that happened around I-25. Alright, so hope you enjoyed that report, and I will come back with another one. Okay, so this next sighting took place in the spring of 1985 in Trinidad, Colorado, and that is just where we came from, where we had dinner. And so the nearest road was a county road over a mile away. And this is what the person observed. I lived in Los Animas County, Colorado, with my mother and stepfather in a canyon called San Miguel, which is located along the Raton Range on the Colorado-New Mexico border. We lived in a very remote area, behind Fisher's Peak near Trinidad, Colorado. Yeah, see, Sam, that's where we should have gone. Sam was joking that we should go. It was really foggy when we came up the pass, Raton Pass, and he was joking that would be good weather to go squatching in. And we should. Then when we were at dinner, he said that we should go at night. And so now we know where to go. And I had seen that sign to Fisher. What was it called? Fisher Lake or something. So yeah, behind Fisher's Peak. Yes, we should have gone there. But we missed our opportunity. Had to get home, see the dog, all that stuff. Anyway, so he says he used to get up real early to get to school. It was daybreak and our dog was outside barking hysterically. I had never heard her growl or act this way before or after this morning. She was looking into the canyon. I went to our kitchen window, which faced the canyon. I could see something running into the canyon. It was on 2 legs, tall and covered in hair. It didn't run like a man. It ran as if it was straddling a small rut, like side to side. I ran down the hall to my parents' room to wake them up so they could see what I was seeing. When they got to the window, it was gone. Of course, poor guy. However, I saw it one last time as it passed between bushes. And nothing else he could think of that he noticed. Other witnesses. My parents were only witness to my extreme excitedness and my dog's hystericalness. Other stories, I have not heard of other sightings, however, this isn't something that is openly discussed, especially in 1985. Time and conditions, it was daybreak, so the sun was just rising. It was approximately 5-6 a.m. Environment, he was in a clearing in a canyon. Yeah, so, follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Dennis Blow. I spoke with Gina on the phone, and the following can be added from this interview. Gina was, it was a girl. Gina was 14 years old at the time of the sighting, and she would get up around 5 a.m. to get ready for school. On this particular morning, her dog had been frantically barking outside. She stated the dog had never carried on like this before. She saw through the kitchen window a large upright creature, dark brown in coloration from top to bottom, running to the canyon on 2 legs and approximately 400 feet away. It was just getting light outside, but she could see it swinging its arms, and it had an unusual and prominent swaddling motion as it ran. I questioned Gina if she thought this could have been a bear in this area, as a substantial black bear population. She stated emphatically it was not. She had seen several bears in this area in nearly 4 years of living there, and this creature did not look at all like one. It had ran the entire time on 2 legs and had wide shoulders. Until this time, no one in the family had seen or heard anything unusual. The Raton Mesa is rugged and covered in pine, fir, and pinyon pine forests and rises to 9,186 feet. The area this sighting took place in was a remote canyon surrounded by private places and investigate. So, I am going to talk about a sighting by a man named Bill, Thursday, April 2nd, 1998. Witnesses saw a white-haired ape-like creature along the northbound side of the interstate. Interstate 25, which is the one that we are going on right now. So Sam, keep your eyes peeled. Travis, keep your eyes peeled. So as I said, this is in 1982 in the winter, specifically December, in Pueblo County. Location details: approximately 100 miles south of Colorado Springs, near Pueblo, off the east shoulder of I-25 in Pueblo County. So actually, I'm the only one on the east side, so I should be looking out. So this is what he observed. On approximately December of 1982. Wow, I wasn't even a teenager then, as far as I remember. Whew. So on approximately December of 1982, two friends and myself were returning to Colorado from Texas by car. Sounds familiar? That's exactly what we're doing. At just before midnight, on a dark stretch of Interstate 25, heading north towards Denver, just 100 some miles before Colorado Springs, something strange caught my eye. I was seated in the passenger side of the car. A friend, Trent, was driving. In the back seat, asleep and extremely ill, was another friend. To the right, traveling at 60 miles per hour, the headlights caught what appeared to be a 3 to 4 foot white-haired, ape-like creature with a dark face. It was standing upright. My eyes caught it some 100 feet ahead in the lights, and I followed it with my eyes. It was merely standing there at the side of the road. Although I admit a childhood interest in Bigfoot lore, I almost instantly dismissed it as such a creature. Surely my eyes were playing tricks on me. I said nothing to my friend who was driving. My first instinct was to ask my friend to turn around and go back to investigate. Instead, I said nothing. 5 minutes later, my friend pulled off to the side of the road, as he had to relieve himself. We met at the back of the car to take care of business, where he expressed he was getting tired. I agreed, telling him I too was tired and was starting to see things. He then told me that he was also seeing things, saying, "Yeah, I just thought I saw a polar bear back there." A chill went up my spine, and I asked him if it was white and furry. He said yes. I told him that I thought I saw a small white ape with a dark face. Without missing a beat, he told me to get in the car. Let's get out of here. We wanted to go back to investigate, but our sick friend in the backseat needed to get home due to his illness. He was passed out through the entire episode, and we didn't want to pester him with our shared illusion. We were obviously unsure of what we saw. However, we agreed that it was not a coyote, and we both only saw 2 legs. The account was dismissed by us until 5 years later, when Unsolved Mysteries did a feature on some unusual sightings of a large Bigfoot-like creature. Their report along the Colorado Front Range. There had been reports of a white-haired ape-like creature roaming around the homes in the foothills just north of Colorado Springs. Wow, this is interesting. Our sighting was 100 some miles south. I think it important to mention for credibility that I have held a strong fascination in Bigfoot lore since childhood. I'm not totally convinced that what I saw was what I know as a Bigfoot. The account is true, however, I believe the circumstances of the event and the accounts in that region are interesting and worth reporting here. Yes, I would agree. I have never told of this event to more than a half dozen people. Yeah, back in 1982, you didn't talk about stuff like that. I think it important to mention for credibility. Wait, that is a repeat. Repeated paragraph. Alright, environment. The environment of the exact place along I-25 would be difficult to assess due to the time of day, 11 p.m. to midnight. Jeez, I'm going to be looking for a white Bigfoot now. We could speculate that this stretch of highway would be some 6 miles east of the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. Hilly fields and pastures east of the highway, elevation approximately 5,000 feet. That is a very interesting report. I know that I've heard that before, but yeah, I think I'm going to be looking to my right here as we go up the highway. But there are more sightings along this region, and a lot in Colorado, of course, and yeah, so go to either BFRO, BFRO.com, I think it probably is, or the Bigfoot Mapping site, and you can read some of these entries for yourself. And of course, there are narrators who do a great job of some of these stories. Like, I love Nance Campbell with Buckeye Bigfoot. There's SS Stories. Oh man, there are so many different people who give narration stories, and I've heard quite a few from Colorado. That always makes me quite happy and intrigued. Alright, so that is the end of the Bigfoot sightings. I hope you have enjoyed that. Okay, we are back. We got back at 10:45. The dog is very excited. Look at him. Got him some toys, including an alligator. The cat has escaped outside, so hopefully she'll come back. But yeah, look at this alligator. And no, I did not see a white Bigfoot on our way back. Oh, so sad. All right, well, that was our adventure. I hope you enjoyed it. So tune in next time. This is Sasquatch Mom. Have a squatch-tastic day.